6 months today. 6 months ago, we started our special coverage. Did you ever think that the violence which took place would divide the society so deeply?
Well, initially, I mean, in the first 1 month, 1.5 months, there were always thoughts, there were always hope that, both tribes would be able to reconcile. But as the days passed, with the kind of political positioning, with the kind of positioning taken by the government, with kind of position taken by the civil societies, and it was painfully clear that the divide was getting deeper by the day. And right now, once we have completed 6 months of violence in Manipur, I would say that the divide is very, very deep, and I honestly don't see divide, a situation coming back to normalcy in a long time from now. The unfortunate aspect is that yes, violence at that level has stopped, but has the situation improved? No. The situation remains the same. With very unfortunate videos which came out in the public, gun violence and the deaths and abject failure on the part of the forces to control the situation beyond a point is also contributed to the situation where Manipur right now is.
Okay. I am also joined by Dr. Thangulal Haukip, Assistant Professor, Center for Study of Law and Governance. I am joined by Major General Ashwani Sivach. I'll come to General Sivach. So if I look at the situation of Manipur, 6 months of violence, 3rd May it started, how would you define it? What went wrong?
Yeah, of course.
Or what was right? I will not load the question for you, whatever it is.
No, my point is, of course, 6 months have passed when the violence has erupted on 3rd May in Manipur. The situation is still tense, though under control. There is some sort of a truce which is there between both communities, that is Meitis and Kukis. But this is short-lived because the point as on today, they are separated by buffer zone. The situation to some extent has improved in terms of the weapons which were looted, almost about 5,000 to 6,000. 30 to 35% of these weapons have come back, but 60% weapons are still there with the terrorist group on the either side. As far as border is concerned between Myanmar and Manipur, that is still porous, and there are a frequent movement of terrorists and militants on the either side from Manipur to Myanmar and also from Myanmar to Manipur. Third thing is that, of course, there is a decline in cultivation of poppy in the hills now, but the drugs are still moving from Myanmar to Manipur, which is again a cause of concern. So to me, it looks like that the civil administration is trying to take stock of the situation. They have been succeeded. The central government has sent a lot of relief material and also made sure that the 2 arteries which are there going to Manipur, one going from Dimapur and the other going from Assam itself, are open now, and there is a flow of commodities which are essential still there. But what is the major cause of concern is still there, that the peace is still not prevailing. This is a temporary peace because both these communities have been separated by buffer zone. The divide is deep due to the political reasons on the either side. No one could have thought it a 6 months back that such a situation can occur. To me, it looks like that in case if we want the peace to prevail completely, 2-3 things have to still do what we have advocated in the beginning. One is that the weapons which are still out, which are almost about 6,000 to 7,000, it is not only those 5,000 to 6,000 weapons which were looted from armory, but also another 5,000 weapons which have come from Manipur by the Jo community and Kukis, which has come from Manipur from Myanmar. That is also there. So therefore, the weapons have to come back. That is challenge number 1. That other challenge number 2 is to ensure that the border which is porous between Manipur and Myanmar has to be sealed. The movement cannot be as free as it is still taking place. Remember, what has happened is that in the situation what is occurring in Myanmar is also disturbing. The 2 major militant groups have now gone against the military junta of Myanmar, and they have revolted against it. They are now charging. And China is quite perturbed because their China-Myanmar economic corridor which is passing from Yunnan and going to Kuakapu,
Okay.
is also very close by. So what I'm saying is there is a influx of terrorists which is also taking place in very close to Manipur border in Myanmar, and that is
Okay.
also a cause of concern.
Okay.
So the last point which I want to convey is that one good thing is that no major incident has taken
Correct.
place in last about 15 to 20 days, almost a month. The peace should prevail, and government should make complete effort. Government of India as well as the state government involve all the actors and characters which are involved in civil societies on the either side, Kukis and Meitis, so that these peace, which seemingly looks to be temporary, become permanent in time to come.
Okay. There are two other issues, I would like to take up. One was the issue of sniper, and another was the issue of the attempt to loot the armory once again. But Mr. Haukip, your opening comments, 6 months down the line, how do you describe the state of Manipur?
First of all, we should accept that Manipur is divided and separated between the Kukis and Meitis for the last 6 months, and we should prepare that for the coming 1 year at least. This separation has to be maintained in certain ways, that the interactions would be different from earlier. Otherwise, if you look into the current situation, how tensions came up in More, it's basically because the Manipur government tries to send commandos, Manipur police commandos, into this border town and try to control this area. And basically because of that, tensions erupted, and which leads to the provocation of the local people and other village volunteers, and leading to this incident. So let me remind everyone by saying that at the peak of Manipur conflict few months ago, Biren came back from Delhi after visiting the Home Minister of India, and after reaching Imphal, he made a press conference saying that he will be looking after Imphal in terms of law and order situation, and Home Minister Amit Shah ji would be looking after the hills. So that was the kind of situation that is been in terms of emotionally or physically, people have been feeling that the central government will be looking after the law and order situation of the hill areas, while the chief minister would be maintaining law and order situation in Imphal. And there has been attempts in the last few months from the Manipur police to enter Tiangupal,
Okay.
More, and then control this land. And I think the women folks were preventing those people, the state forces. So we have to respect the sentiments of the people in Tiangupal, More area also, that they don't want state forces, particularly the commandos. Why the state government is trying to put the commandos in this border area? There are some
Dr.
rifles
Haukip.
and other central forces who could look after. So
Okay.
this kind of separation of, because there is no trust between the state forces and the Kukis. Likewise, there is no trust between the central forces and
Okay.
the other communities.
Okay.
So that this has to be understood, and some kind of understanding has to be made, and we should go on like this with some kind of understanding for quite some time. Otherwise, there will be suspicion, there will be aggravation of the situation, and the little peace that we have maintained for the last 1 month could go out. So we have to understand in this situation and respect other sentiments.
So your
and
takeaway, like for example, General Sivat said, the border, the terrorism, your takeaway, it's a fragile piece. Suhas, two things intrigued me. One was the odd sniper fire, one. And the second was the renewed attempt to loot the armory. Can you take us through these two events, because the gun itself makes it very, very different. It's not a small thing to operate a sniper gun, one, and it changes a lot of things. And second, the attempt which was made, I think, I wouldn't say the Manipur is the only state where such attempts have been made, but perhaps it qualifies as the only state where repeated attempts like that are being made. The word is impunity. Impunity. That has not changed. Why?
Well, I think, am I audible?
Oh, you are, yeah, you are audible. Yes.
Yes. So I think the greatest mistake which has been done by the administration is the inability to apprehend the situation. And I was just thinking, I mean, if we look into the current context, I think the loss of arms or looting of arms or giving away of arms is part of what is called self-defense. And once you have lost or given away or taken away is 500,000 arms and ammunition and about 500 over 5 lakhs ammunition, peace was never going to come back because everybody has been armed to the teeth. And this was a deliberate act because at the end of the day, we cannot have a situation where security forces just would remain mute witness when the arms are being taken away from them. They had to, use firearms. They had to fire back. None of this have taken place. And both the state government and center stood as mute witnesses. And we have come to a situation, possibly not the right analogy. It's like this situation which you have between Israel and Gaza. One party saying, I have the right to self-defense. And this self-defense actually is the justification for losing of these arms and weapons. And so much so that when I read the newspapers, when I see, in fact, when the latest incident came up, the incident which you mentioned, some of the press were reporting that miscreants tried to take away the arms. Now, somebody taking away the arms is not a miscreant. There is an Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. There is Arms Act. There are offenses under the Penal Code. So it is extremely unfortunate to see that, I mean, the narrative, the way you build it. And I think we live in a time period when a particular journalist could be, arrested for terrorism offenses for writing a piece or trying to investigate. But here, the arms looters are actually treated as miscreant. And it is not only the terminology of miscreant. If you look at it, the entire absence of FIRs, entire absence of accountability, or nobody being held into account, no investigation being conducted, you basically create the situation where the riots had to continue. And secondly, the center was very tentative and they still do not know what they are doing. Because when the riots started on 3rd of May, by 6th of May, they said that they had imposed 355 of the Constitution, Article 355. And months later, we came to know that Article 355 was in fact not imposed. So who gave this information? If you look at the reports, of course, the officials from the Ministry of Home Affairs,